Hi there.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Josh, or maybe better known to some of you as Prathedawg, here on YouTube, and this is going to be a little different than my normal style of video. I'm currently working on a video on Batman Arkham Knight, and how that is one of the best yet somehow worst games of all time, and all the things that it does right, amazing, wrong, and terribly wrong. So look forward to that, but in the meantime, I wanted to give you a little video that was just kind of more unscripted to talk about what's going on currently with Call of Duty Black Ops 7, right? And the reason I wanted to talk about this was because if you've watched any of my videos, I started this channel because I was spurred to talk about the way Black Ops 6 was going, specifically zombies, but just in general Call of Duty as a whole, because I grew up playing those games. I liked them a lot. And I made a video on the first Zombies map that came out, Terminus, and in that video I also kind of talked about the second one that came out, which was Citadel de Mor. Never made a video on the Tomb because that map was garbage, and I think we can mostly agree on that. It's not the worst map ever, but it certainly is a map I'm not going to go back and play whatsoever. And then I made a map on the Shattered Veil because I thought it was a pretty good map and I enjoyed it. Even though there were some things that I think could be better, I still enjoyed it. It spurred me to make a video about it, right? But I did not make a video about the last map, DLC 4, which is The Reckoning, which I did plan to do. I swear, I planned to do it. But as, you know, it came out and I played it a little bit, I just was not interested at all in making a video about it. And is it because it's the worst map in the world? No, not really, but it's because it was a very anticlimactic end to Black Ops 6, which for zombies at least was alright for the most part, but they really failed to stick the landing towards the end. So instead of doing a full-blown video like I did for the other maps, I kind of just wanted to talk about the state of Call of Duty and Black Ops 7 coming out, and maybe even a little bit of Battlefield 6. Oh no, don't say that name! No, but seriously. So the reason I wanted to talk about this was because, you know, Black Ops 6 is coming out, or Black Ops 7, excuse me, is coming out pretty soon. What's the release date on that? November 14th, so close to 3 weeks from now, Black Ops 7 will be coming out, and Battlefield 6 has already came out, and it's come out to much critical acclaim, even to me. I've played it, I bought it. I enjoyed a lot. There are things about it that I don't necessarily love, but I have to admit it's nice to hop on to a shooter game and not have to absolutely sweat my balls off if I want to even have a decent time. And then I just end up having a bad time because, you know, I'm out here absolutely sweat dripping on my PlayStation 5 controller. People hear the sweat drops coming through the mic. I'm asking for call-outs, you know what I mean, in a game of TDM on Black Ops 6. I'm not down for that. And that was really kind of a bad thing for Black Ops 6 in my opinion, because I thought the gameplay was fine. It was just, it also catered to that extreme sweaty kind of behavior, you know what I'm saying? Let me grab a drink of water real quick. And yeah, now we're kind of in this spot where Black Ops 7 is 3 weeks from release. Battlefield 6 has come out, everybody's playing it, everybody's loving it. And we're kind of wondering what's going on with Black Ops 7. Now, that's not a question that Call of Duty has left us asking, because they have provided us with a ton of marketing compared to other years. And they've even provided us with a beta that included not only multiplayer, but zombies as well, which has never happened, because I think they kind of feel the heat coming off of this Battlefield 6 release, you know? A game that is really coming for the throat of Call of Duty in seemingly a weak point for the series, right? But yeah, essentially, Battlefield 6 is out here really trying its best to kind of steal away a large player base from Call of Duty Black Ops 7, and despite the fact that some people might be like, well, you gotta think about console. More people play Call of Duty on console. I'm like, you're right, you are right. But you have to also think about word of mouth and, you know, what's popular to be playing right now, because all of my friends who play video games have no interest in Call of Duty whatsoever. In fact, they are vehemently against it, and I think the thing that is so, you know, telling about that is that they might not necessarily know about the things that Call of Duty is doing that are good. I'm not trying to necessarily defend Call of Duty or tear it down. I'm just saying that whether or not people know about what's going on right now everybody kind of shares the sentiment that Call of Duty is dead. Never want to play Call of Duty again, oh, they totally ruined it. It's not the way that it used to be, kind of stuff like that. And I think that as a result of that, we're in a spot right now where, not that Call of Duty is going to totally do terrible, but I think it's going to kind of struggle a little bit this year. And I could be wrong. I very well could be wrong. Call of Duty is a huge game, but just with the way they're marketing it with celebrities like Jake Paul and, people like that, and it's just, I'm not necessarily sure who the target audience is, and I don't know if they really know either. You could say children, which you'd probably be right if you say that, but even so, it's like, do children like Jake Paul that much? Maybe they do. Maybe I'm out of touch in the children's game. Thank goodness, right? And that brings me to the point of how do I feel, right? We can look at the grander scale of how everything is right now with Black Ops 7, but how do I feel as someone who does try and keep up with what's going on in the Call of Duty world, right? And I would just say that I kind of feel disinterested. Not to say that I won't try it, but it is to say that I don't know if I'm going to get it for $70. Because as much as all the things they've changed, like the skill-based matchmaking, where now, thank the Lord, I don't have to just go and sweat my balls off like I was just mentioning. They took that out of the game. There's little to no skill-based matchmaking. And when I played the beta, I actually had a lot of fun in not having to totally sweat and actually be able to improve and be rewarded for my improvement. Whereas in previous Call of Duty entries as of recently, you don't get rewarded for your improvement. You in fact get punished for it, because if you improve, you get forced into these lobbies with people that are way better than you. So if you want to be able to, play and have fun, right? Do decently, you have to sweat and not necessarily have a good time and be completely locked in. That's not a good thing in my opinion. And it kind of takes away any incentive for people who actually enjoy playing video games to play, and it just only caters to people who are really just hopping on for an afternoon, after they get off work, which is nothing against those people. But I seriously don't think those people care whether or not they're being matchmaked into the right, skill bracket. I think they're just hopping on to play, and they don't really necessarily care if they get absolutely smashed or not, right? They just want to play the game. The people who do care if they're getting put into these high skill lobbies are the people that actually enjoy the game and want to play the game frequently, right? And they are getting punished for wanting to play the game frequently and level up and do those things, and I don't think that was good, and they took that out in Black Ops 7, at least for now, which is a great thing. And I hope they really stick with that, because I think moving forward that could be something that brings people back. It's also a thing present in Battlefield 6. It doesn't have that skill-based matchmaking as well, which makes it a lot of fun, because I feel like I can just hop in and have a good time and not have to worry about the enemy team being SEAL Team 6 over there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that is very good. And they're adding back the cursed mode into zombies, which essentially is kind of a classic mode. People will get mad at you online if you call it a classic mode, because they're like, well, it's not a classic mode and you're setting yourself up for failure if you're calling it a classic mode, and you're going to be disappointed. And I'm like, okay, listen, while you are right, everything in the marketing for that mode so far by Treyarch, outside of literally calling it a classic mode, is baiting people because of the classic features within it. It's essentially just a classic mode is the way they're marketing it. And you can say, no, it's not. They never said it's a classic mode. They said everything but that it's a classic mode. Okay? And the reason why I know that is because whenever we look at the stuff they're doing, they're, releasing all this marketing information and everything, just talking about how they're going to add these things that are, from older games back in that people like you start with a pistol instead of a loadout weapon, like you have your classic point system, 10 points per shot, and then you can knife, stuff like that. They're bringing all that back. They're marketing it hard. And once again, how I know that this is a market to people who want a classic mode, maybe you can say that. Maybe you say that instead of saying, oh, well, it's not a classic mode. Sure, but it is a mode meant to market to people who want a classic mode, right? And the reason why I think that is because recently, if we look into the Okay, I can't get it to pull up live to you, but I will play a clip of it here.
With that said, let's try to answer some of the questions you do have about the mode. Can we get cursed at launch without having to unlock it? So we know there's a lot of discussion about this, and we totally understand that players want to experience this version of zombies. So what we're gonna do is unlock cursed as soon as someone out in the world completes the main quest in Ashes of the Damned.
And essentially what they said, forgive me, I'm kind of paraphrasing because I haven't watched it recently, but he says that whereas before this came out, we were of the impression that the cursed mode would be unlocked upon completing the main quest in the standard mode of the game, right? Once you complete the standard mode main quest, then the cursed mode unlocks and you can play, which has more of the classic mechanics, right? But recently they've said that upon the very first completion of the Easter egg in standard mode by anyone. So once the game comes out, anybody around the world, once it's solved, curse mode will be unlocked for everyone. So all it takes is one person around the world to solve it to unlock the curse mode. And the reason I believe they did this was because the whole reason they're marketing this thing is for it to be a kind of classic-ish mode and to bring people back to the game that they know they've lost to games like Battlefield 6 in an effort to bring back some of those fans because maybe their numbers aren't necessarily down, but their word of mouth is really down. And if your word of mouth is down, nobody's going to be like, yo, you want to hop on and play Black Ops 7? Nobody's saying that right now. Nobody the whole time I played Black Ops 6 was like, yo, let's hop on Black Ops 6, bro. Never. That never happened once. And they know that that's an issue right now, and they know that they are kind of outside of the cultural zeitgeist besides little kids who are going to steal mommy's credit card to buy the new Nicki Minaj skin. Let's just call it what it is, okay? And they're trying to fix that, which I appreciate. But it may just be too late. And that's the reason why I believe they changed this, because they know that the people they're marketing to have no interest in playing the standard version of zombies that has been being dropped for the last 5 or so years, right? They have zero interest in that. And so they want to make it to where people can buy this game and not have to worry about playing the standard mode, because if there's this barrier to the classic mode that, you have to complete an Easter egg on standard mode, a lot of people are not going to bother, right? Because they are sick and tired of this, including me a little bit. I don't hate it, but I definitely think it's a non-game mode to me. It is like taking everything that made zombies a game mode out of it, right? Now it's just Call of Duty, with zombies in it. It's not like a separate game mode from the rest of Call of Duty, you know what I mean? And so I think that's why they made it this way, was to get people to come play the new classic mode. You don't have to play the standard mode if you don't want to, because a lot of people don't want to, and it'll bring back more people, right? Because they are afraid of this outflux. I don't know what you'd call that. Opposite of influx of people to Battlefield 6. They want to retain a lot of people by bringing back all the things that are making people excited to go play games like Battlefield 6, right? There's some more classic mechanics, not hand-holding, not trying to trick you into thinking you're good at the game and sell you crazy-looking skins, right? And I guess the whole reason I'm making this small little video is because I feel like Call of Duty's in a lot of trouble, not necessarily because of the things that it is changing, but because of the way that it is marketing its game, right? That's not new. That's been going on for a long time with Call of Duty, right? But what I mean by that is that whenever I was watching, the COD Next and all this stuff showing off the game, everything that they showed off was like, remember this? Like, yeah, if you've seen South Park, the member berries thing. I haven't watched much South Park, but I know about that, where it's like trying to bait you into buying something by being like, remember this from back in the day? And it's like, that seems like the entire marketing scheme is just nostalgia bait to try and get people to come back for these features that they never should have taken on in the first place. And I just don't think it's going to work. And I think that's why it has so many people disinterested. And my biggest fear is that all these changes are going to be great, but because this game doesn't do good, Activision's going to be like, see, Treyarch, you were wrong. We should have never added back or taken out skill-based matchmaking. That's why this game flopped. Just like they did with a lot of stuff in Vanguard. Even though that was a terrible game, there was some good stuff in it, but because Activision higher-ups have literally zero critical thinking skills, is what it seems like, they can't differentiate between the things people like and the things that were so terrible that it ruined the game despite the good things, right? And I have a fear seeing that we also received information that Infinity Ward was the group that wanted to put in that heavy skill-based matchmaking, that team will also just kind of run with that people, don't care for the no skill-based matchmaking thing. It makes people not want to play because they get bracketed out because everybody is just too sweaty and they can't compete. When in reality, the reason nobody's buying this game, including me, unless it goes on sale, is because I've been burnt too many times by the people at the top trying to get $1 out of me and not trying to provide me with a game that is actually fun to play, and instead trying to make these poor devs at Treyarch and to a lesser extent Infinity Ward work around these parameters that are totally in place to just get little kids addicted to the game and buy skins, right? And I think it's sickening, honestly, to see that. And that's why I don't want to buy the game, because I don't want to cough up $70 before I even know if they're going to implement those changes that I do think are good in the game correctly, right? And another thing that gives me hope that these changes are going to be good is that if you played the beta, you know that, yes, zombies came in the beta, and it was one of these survival maps, which essentially is also its kind of own separate game mode, these survival maps, because they don't have any Easter eggs in them, and you kind of just play them the way you have before. And to me, what these seem like, these survival maps in survival mode essentially, is a kind of replacement for what they were doing for most of the last 5 years, right? And a lot of the problems that I had with the game. And that's why I didn't enjoy the Black Ops 6 Zombies beta too much. Not necessarily because it was bad, but because it was just, there's nothing to do in it. And it's emblematic of all the problems with modern day zombies. You just spawn in with your loadout and you kind of just do meaningless. You kill zombies, it's meaningless. You get points at kind of a mediocre rate. You pack a punch that gun, you never struggle because you came in with the exact gun you wanted. You can hit the box if you want, but it's completely unnecessary. There's no, risk reward factor whatsoever within the game. As you just shoot zombies, number goes up, go buy perks, go pack a punch your gun, yay, and then you get everything, and then it's just boring. And so essentially, I really didn't necessarily enjoy that survival mode because I'm just like, okay, this is just everything bad about modern zombies to me. But the reason that gives me some hope is because maybe, just maybe, the reason they're including the survival mode or maps or whatever you want to call it is so that in their standard and their curse modes, they can dive harder into the aspects of the game that have been missing for a while, right? So like, unique Easter eggs and stuff like that. They give you unique rewards in each map to kind of build up what you're doing in that map specifically and make you feel like you're making the most out of your environment and interacting with it in a fun and meaningful way, which has been missing for a lot of the time and definitely was missing in that survival mode, which I think was mainly as a manner in which to inflate the player statistics for zombies in a time in which zombies had gone downhill after, or during, some would say, including me, Black Ops 4. Right, so they needed a way to kind of inflate these numbers and bring people back to the zombies game mode, and they did that by adding a loadout system, doing all these things, and essentially providing an avenue for multiplayer fans and just people in general to come in and just totally farm levels, prestige, and camo grind, right? And that creates a hollow gameplay experience to me when it's based entirely around an artificial reason to bring you back, right? Not saying that prestige systems and camos aren't good things about the game, but when your entire game is built around them, it takes away a lot of the, fun from the actual game and a lot of the replayability, because once you earn all your camos and stuff, there's no reason to go back and play, because that's the whole reason you're playing multiple times in the first place, right? And so my hope is that the addition of these survival maps and stuff like that is to kind of scratch that itch for people who don't necessarily want to play zombies. They just want to play it so they can farm their camos and do all sorts of stuff like that, and allow them to focus on creating a more replayable and fun experience in the standard and curse modes. Like I said, I have no interest in the standard mode. The only reason I'm gonna buy this game at all, if I do, is if it goes on sale and I hear that the curse mode is actually a lot of fun and somewhat similar to what we got in the past, because to me that brings back the things that make zombies a fun game mode in the first place. The risk reward of, finding a different gun besides the one you started with. Not having to the thing that pissed me off so damn bad in the beta. And I'm just like, dude, who thought this was a good idea? So I'm trying to exfil, right? And the damn, whatever they call it, the bear zombie, which is cool, I like it, is chasing me. And I realized I've kind of been just farming, trying to get, pack-a-punch levels, and I pack-a-punch my gun before I tried to exfil, right? And then whenever I did exfil, the bear's chasing me, and I realized that I had just pack-a-punched my gun. I didn't have many points after pack-a-punching it because it was all the way to level 3, and I'm running out of ammo on my gun. And I'm like, dang, I'm going to need to buy ammo pretty soon. And I look down, I have no money, and as I'm shooting this bear, I realize I'm not getting any points for shooting this bear. I'm just shooting this bear, and I'm not going to get points unless I kill it. But also, I might run out of ammo before I can kill it. And then if I run out of ammo, I can't kill any zombies to get points for myself back to buy ammo to kill the bear. So I'd just be screwed in that case. Whereas the old point system that they're bringing back for the curse mode, you get points per time you hit the zombie. So even if I'm not dealing enough damage to kill the bear, the fact that I'm using a very fast shooting automatic weapon is gaining me a lot of points that I can maybe use to go buy an ammo crate. I'm not against ammo crates. That's one of my favorite things in the old zombies, is having a wall weapon with you constantly so that if you ever need to, just go buy ammo for it. It's one of the unique risk-reward factors of old zombies, right? Do I hit the box so I can get a really cool gun that's really good, or do I do the safe bet and get a gun that's pretty solid off the wall that I can just buy ammo for the whole match? But that has kind of been removed in these standard modes because you don't even have to think about getting a different gun. In fact, if you do, you're kind of just wasting your time, and just people want to say, oh, well, you can play the game like that if you want to. Like, yeah, you can, but the game is not based around playing that way. The game is entirely balanced around keeping your initial weapon from the start and just upgrading it to the max level and getting the wonder weapon and getting every single perk you can, right? Whereas what gives me hope for Black Ops 7 is that the curse mode being a thing means that they had to at least a little bit balance for the fact that you're not just going to be able to keep that pistol the entire time. You're going to have to get another gun from the box or the wall, whatever it may be. And so I'm hoping it's really good. I don't have a ton of faith that it will be, not because of the things that I've seen, because like I said, I like what I've seen, but because of the people who control this thing and the motivations that I know are behind why they're making it. They're not making it to make a cool game for people to play and be proud of. Not Treyarch. I'm talking Activision exclusively. And you even heard recently some of the devs were saying stuff like, why, they were asking them, why is there skill-based matchmaking in the first place? They're like, listen, we're just devs. We don't make these decisions. At a certain point, we just have to do what Activision tells us to do, right? So I'm not putting the onus on them at all. I think they're very talented people. I just wish that the people in charge of this thing weren't one of the greediest, terrible companies to ever exist. And unfortunately for Battlefield 6, that's like one of the first or second most greedy and terrible companies to ever exist controlling that game. So we got one good Battlefield, and then they sold it to a Saudi Arabian company that, I don't know anything about them, but it doesn't look good for EA, let's just say. It seems like that company's going to kind of tank and fail and really just turn into Maddens every year to kind of sustain a little bit of profitability because they have to, because they made a deal with the NFL. And it just kind of sucks to see that, once I finally given up hope on Call of Duty, they are starting to change the things that they needed to change, but it just might be too little too late. And the companies that I thought could maybe come along and give them a run for their money are floundering in their own right through things that are out of their control in terms of the people actually making the game. And it's just weird. These games that I, wanted to enjoy and have been enjoying in Battlefield 6's case, it's like even when they do make the right decision, something goes wrong to prevent it from being a sustainable thing. So, not to be a Debbie Downer, but it's not necessarily looking great for Black Ops 7. I hope it's good. I hope I'm totally wrong. And like I said, I like what they're saying they've done with the game, but we're just gonna have to get our hands on it and see. Y'all have to let me know, because I will not buy it for $70. It's just a DLC. Guys, it really is just a DLC. But anyways, thank you for joining me on this fireside chat. Hopefully you like this format. I'm gonna do it some more to give me time in between the longer videos that I put a lot more effort into, because I just want to give you all some content, and not everything requires a super long in-depth video, but we can still talk about it. So yeah, please leave comments on how you feel about everything in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you're new, please subscribe and like if you did like it. I got more stuff coming out. Watch the other videos. They've got a little bit more effort and depth put into them editing wise than this, but hopefully this is fun because we can just have like a little conversation between the few people that are watching this. So thank you guys, appreciate it, and I will see you next time.